Okay, so we are starting the second part with all the definitions of circles. So we're going to be kind of bouncing around, not necessarily going in this particular order. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple radii. Okay, so if you have two radii, this right here is called a central angle. So if you go down the bottom, a central angle is an angle with its vertex at the center of the circle. Okay. So now I'm going to extend this out a little bit. Now I have created a diameter. So this arc going all the way, this is called a semicircle. So a semicircle is an arc with a measure equal to 180 degrees. If we go back to this central angle, this arc is called a minor arc. So a minor arc is an arc with a measure less than 180 degrees. This is minor. This one's going to have to be major then. Okay, so for an inscribed angle, the color here. For an inscribed angle, I'm going to draw a chord here and another chord here. Okay. It just happens that I use the endpoints. It doesn't have to be. So just know that this is a chord, and this is a chord, which makes this an inscribed angle. So an inscribed angle is an angle with its vertex on the circle, that's the key piece, on the circle with sides that are chords. So just to kind of give you some perspective, I could have this chord and this chord, and then this little sliver here would be called the inscribed angle. Okay, so as long as the center, excuse me, the vertex is on the circle and then the sides are chords. bounce up to major arc. Major arc is an arc with a measure greater than 180 degrees. So if this is a minor arc, if I am looking at the arc that would go from here all the way around, that would be called a major arc. Okay, and we'll talk more about those. I'm going to put here that a minor arc is labeled with 2 points. A major is labeled with 3 points, and a semicircle is labeled with 3 points. And we'll talk more about those once we hit each of those sections. Okay, so one thing I don't have on here, I just noticed, is if this is the angle, then this is called also the intercepted arc. So if I were looking at this angle, then this would be the intercepted arc for this angle. Okay, so knowing that it's the sides and it's the space on the circle in between the two sides. So arc measure is the degree of the intercepted arc. Arc measure is the degree of the intercepted arc. Arc length is the length. I'm going to put a little note here that this could be inches, it could be feet, it could be millimeters. So these are like lineal measurements. So it's the length of the intercepted arc. The most common error is people confusing arc measure with arc length. Okay, so we'll talk about more of that when we get there. Circumference is the distance around the circle. So this is going to be inches, feet, millimeters, etc. Okay, so it's the distance around the circle. The area of the circle is the square units. Of the inside of the circle. And the area of a sector, it is the area of, how do I word this? The area of actually, I'm going to change this to, it's a piece of the area of a circle. I'm going to put here a piece of pizza. Okay, so the reason why I did that is because if we look here and we have a central angle, then this piece, which looks like a piece of pizza, this is called a sector. So it has to be within and having a central angle. So this sliver right here is not a sector, not the shape of a piece of pizza. This is not the shape of a piece of pizza. But if I were to draw another radius in here, then this could also be a sector. Okay, and we'll break more of these down once we get to those individual pieces.